the establishment is in full panic mode. Absolutely full panic mode. And it's really, really exciting to see. So, if you see here, a super PAC has dropped a whole lot of money against Bernie Sanders, and as a result, Bernie Sanders supporters have come through with $1.3 million in 24 hours. So the Democratic Super PAC with, I don't know, what is it called? Something for Israel, dropped $700,000 in one day against Bernie Sanders, and Bernie Sanders supporters in response put in 1.3 million. So small money is actually beating big money in this case. We also have our friends at Third Way, the sleazy Wall Street funded think tank, writing columns in USA Today. So, of course, these are the people we need to hear from on why Bernie Sanders would be terrible. Headline: Democrats court doom by backing Bernie Sanders. His ideas are toxic outside blue America. So I'm not going to read that piece, but it's by the people that run Third Way, which is a Wall Street funded terrible think tank. You have the super PAC spending that's out of control. Then you have Third Way writing opinion pieces on how terrible Bernie Sanders is and how he can't win in outside of blue America. And I tweeted this out. Earlier, but it's just astounding to me because facts don't seem to matter when it comes to the Bernie derangement syndrome. The reporters that write these stories, the editors that allow Third Way to basically print nonsense and propaganda without fact checking them. So let me just explain to you, when Third Way says Bernie Sanders is toxic outside of blue America, then somebody has to explain. How it is that Bernie Sanders in 2016, I'm just going to read you my own tweet. How is it that Bernie Sanders in 2016 won Indiana? I'd say that's outside of blue America, wouldn't you? Oklahoma, a red state. Idaho, a red state. Montana, a red state. North Dakota, a red state. Utah, red state. Kansas, red state. Nebraska, red state. Wyoming, red state. West Virginia, West state. Lost by a point or less than a point. Iowa, red state. Missouri, red state. Kentucky, red state. Colorado, purple state. Michigan, Wisconsin, was a blue state. Now it's a red state. So, it's one thing if you just are a greedy Wall Street sleazebag and you don't want Medicare for all because it would basically put the big pharmaceutical brands that you're invested in. I mean, this is why Third Way doesn't want Medicare for all, because all these Wall Street think tanks, financiers, all of them, they all have massive, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars in investment in big pharmaceutical companies. That's why they don't want a universal health care program in this country. So I'd rather them just be honest about it than put out this ridiculous, easily disprovable nonsense about he's toxic outside of blue America. He won a whole lot of red states. Well, you could say, well, he won it in the Democratic primary. That doesn't mean he's going to win it in the general election. Well, all I know is an orange orangutan won in those red states, running on being anti-free trade, not a Republican position historically, getting out of all the wars, not a Republican position traditionally, on camera saying during the campaign, we need to provide universal health care, and several other progressive positions. Of course, Donald Trump didn't mean a word of it, but a Republican won in those red states, talking quite progressively on a lot of issues. So how is it that Bernie Sanders, who, by the way, beat an incumbent Republican in Vermont to become a congressman there before he was a senator, how is it that Bernie Sanders, who, by the way, if you look through his elections in Vermont, tends to do very well in rural conservative areas in Vermont, how is it that Bernie Sanders during the Iowa caucus in 2016 tended to do well in the most rural parts of Iowa and conservative areas? How is it that Bernie Sanders for years has done exceptionally well among independents He beat Hillary Clinton in open primary states in 2016. So the facts are the facts, but they're trying to create, what does Kellyanne Conway say? Alternative facts. Oh, he's going to be toxic outside of blue America. I got news for you. As Status Coup has told you over and over again, there's a whole lot of Republicans who actually, policy by policy, are closet progressives. And you just got to speak their language. There's a whole lot of Republicans that like Bernie Sanders. There's a whole lot of independents. So then we've already gone through Third Way writing these hit pieces, not steeped in fact. We have a super PAC that just dropped $700,000. That's just one super PAC. That's not Joe Biden's super PAC. Because middle class Joe, union man Joe, he's got his own super PAC that's dropping money for him. And he pretends, well, I don't know anything about the super PAC. I didn't approve this. Yeah. Then you have our friend Jennifer Rubin from the Washington Post, who, let me tell you something. Give it up for Jennifer Rubin. She takes the cake. She wins the award this go around for Bernie derangement syndrome. I have seen at least 30 columns from Jennifer Rubin, just dating back to the beginning of 2019, just destroying Bernie Sanders. What did Bernie ever do to you, Jennifer Rubin? And of course, this is what they're trying to do. Now they're trying to equate Bernie Sanders with Trump. They're trying to equate Bernie Sanders with Trump. So they write pieces like, oh, the Trump-like Bernie campaign. And what's so incredible about this is, I think I invented it last night. Hopefully nobody steals it. But this reverse psychology snowflakeism that's permeating, the New York Times does a whole, however long that ridiculous story was. I didn't read the whole thing. Oh my God, Bernie Sanders supporters are so mean online. People, members of the Democratic Party establishment are very concerned because people are writing mean things in their mentions. And oh God, really what this is about is the oligarchy, the corporate Democratic establishment for the last 40 years has gone unchallenged. And they like it that way. They don't want to be challenged. So they continue to basically pretend that they're victims because the people on the bottom end of this, the people on the bottom end of that, the people on the bottom end of this, that are having their money, having their future stolen from them for the last 40 years, are finally fighting back. And yeah, sometimes it shows up kind of fierce in your Twitter. Get over it. Get over it. You have not, these people that are crying out in concern and such concern about the civility on Twitter, on social media, I don't hear them screaming about people working 3 jobs. I don't hear them worried and screaming about, how vicious it is that people all over America are rationing their insulin. I don't hear them screaming about the planet on fire. I don't hear them screaming about people choosing to stay home, then go to a doctor, and then getting cancer and dying because they didn't catch it in time, but they didn't go because they can't afford it. So these people are so worried about the Bernie bros, even though he's got the most diverse coalition, including more women, by the way, in Bernie's coalition. They're so worried about people being mean to them online, not particularly worried about, people dying in the streets. So that's just a few. I don't need to read any more. There's like 25 new pieces an hour right now. Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.